Hey everyone, I know it's been a while. Had a lot of stuff going on the last couple months, but I finally moved, what have you, in my own place, got a job, had to do a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know why chat is still open, gonna close that. But I decided to go on summer school tonight, and the second I got in there's a replay ready and waiting, and this is between a duo queue actually. So the duo queue is going to be our friendly Renekton and Leona. So people in lower elos, they tend like to go 80 support because they like to think they can control the lane. Because two people coordinated playing against two people that are uncoordinated, so to speak, should technically do fare better. But I do like the idea of trying to dominate two different lanes. I generally prefer that. I mean, my duo combo of choice is generally mid and jungle. You can have the most impact on the game early on, which will then impact the late game, or it theoretically should impact the late game much harder. But at the same time, being able to dominate top lane will prevent their enemy top laner from getting out of control. It's going to be a Garen. Renekton does fairly well against Garen. At the same time, a well-played Garen can do well against Renekton, but as we can see, Garen started off with the shield in his defensive mastery, so I don't really quite understand that one. I don't think that mastery is very good. But their issue is, what are we doing wrong in our duo system? We've been on a losing streak. Can you please help us out with that? So, for some reason there's a big red border around my screen. Hopefully it doesn't impact you guys. I think it might have to do with LOL when I hit the generic keybind, but I'll figure that out at a later date. So hopefully the red line doesn't bother you. Maybe it might not even be there. But whatever. Anyway, we're going to see Renekton start with a Doran Shield. And Doran Shield's pretty good. Nice regen. Health. But the key thing about Doran Shield is, besides regen on the health, is it blocks auto attack damage. But Garen isn't much of an auto attacker. He can, but his main thing is his abilities, and Doran Shield doesn't do much against that. So I would almost recommend starting with a cloth armor and just going 5 potions, cloth 5. As you can see, Garen did go that as well. He went cloth 5. But I can't just focus on Renekton because it is a duo queue. Garen actually starting with his spin, so he's going to put out a decent bit of harassment right off the bat. Let's go back. Let's go to the bottom lane. Leona actually went with her W first. Now, I think you want to hold off on your abilities early on in the game, of course, but when you're starting the lane phase, I would prefer to start Q or E. I mean, Leona Graves can do incredibly well early on, but neither of them are running Ignite. They're both running Barrier, which is, I think, odd for Leona. Ignite and Leona. Oh, actually getting grabbed immediately. Trying to get bursted down, as I have no control of my camera. Actually, Graves doing a very smart thing. He actually at level 2. First Blood and level 2 are going to go to Lucian, but Graves did what he could to try to chunk down Blitzcrank as much as he could. But anyway, I was trying to make a point about Leona starting Q or E. I prefer Q because this early ward could have easily been prevented, assuming Leona was in this bush if she went Q, because you can do auto Q auto. It'll reset your auto attack if you time it right, and you can blow up that very first ward. Keep brush control. And then in turn, keep lane pressure going because they don't know when you're going to try to engage. They can't see that you're preparing to toss that E because when you're in the bush, the casting animation, they don't get to see that early bit, but they only get to see the Xenoblade pop out, and generally by then it's too late. Unless you have the reaction time of a Korean where you can just instantly flash the likes of a Unstoppable Force of Malphite or something at the very, very last second. It's going to be tough for that ability to be dodged. So the whole point of Leona is you need early brush control, and that was a huge thing right there. Missing the Ruthless Predator, which is this W on Renekton, is stun. So that's going to allow Garen to re-engage, but oh no, there's no need to ignite that. That's just that was a successful gank from Lee. Even though he was ignited, he blew a summoner, so that's even less potential for a kill there, and that's going to allow them to really bully you. If you had that ignite still up, Garen would have naturally pushed the lane because look at that. He's just going to spin everything. So this lane is will come back your direction no matter what. So you can push Garen all day. He will do fairly well farming into the tower, so you're actually better off trying to hold the lane in your direction over here. I know that he'll have a level advantage, but he has no real escapes besides his Q for a short movement speed boost. But with an Udyr and Renekton, there's enough stuns and control there, especially if he has a red buff, which he still does. So it'll also be a slow as well. to get that gank off. But with him just like this, kind of near his tower, without Ignite, it's going to be a little tough. Flash stun from Udyr, though. Almost successful. He's just going to get away. Udyr, what are you doing? Udyr, you just donated a buff. You just donated a buff. Okay. So that's another problem. Your jungler just donated a red buff, but that could have been easily prevented if we didn't blow the Ignite back here on Lee Sin. I think you can see the mouse cursor. I changed that setting. I'm using Fraps as well, so it should be a little bit clear. More clear. Clearer. So even though you have a pretty decent lead, or Renekton has a pretty decent lead on farm over Garen. Wow, there we go. So now I was about to say Garen's even, but now I pick up that kill. Oh no, Lee Sin! No! You're dead. Unless you get Ruthless Predator, he's still gonna kill you though. Yep, that's death. He's still got his red buff. There's no way you're getting out of there. That's not terrible. Garen didn't get an assist out of that. 15 farm over him with a Brutalizer is huge. Such a good one. I was actually going to recommend not rushing a Sunfire against Garen. I mean, unless you get the Chain Vest first, I wouldn't recommend rushing a Sunfire necessarily. But a Brutalizer is going to be tremendous. Especially since he went Warden's Mail. So you can negate a little bit of that armor that he got. I mean, it's clearly not going to do terrible amount. 10 armor penetration, so he only has 40 bonus armor pen, but the cooldown reduction is the biggest deal. Cooldown reduction is such a good stat on Renekton. So you can sit on a Brutalizer and then go for a Sunfire. Especially since you're facing essentially double physical damage for the duration of lane phase unless Lux decides to roam. Now let's keep our eye on this bottom. Let's see how Leona's skilling up. So we're maxing W, good. On Leona you want to max the Eclipse. I think that's pretty commonplace nowadays. It's general knowledge. But now the biggest thing is you guys pushed the lane into Blitzcrank's wheelhouse. A Blitzcrank wants to be pushed into his tower. That gives him a little bit of an opportunity to pull people into the tower and force summoner spells pretty much instantly. And at the same time, Udyr's dealing with Lee Sin. These wards are kind of loose, especially against Lee Sin, who's so incredibly mobile. If you're going to push a lane up, you need to ward right up here. Yeah, so that just happened. Nice job trying to assist your jungler, but a little too late. But it was okay. Oriana was there to clean that one up. Got a red buff too, which will be huge for her. But anyway, I was talking about you want to ward in front of this dragon area. You can spot if Lee Sin's trying to come this way. Because theoretically, your mid laner should be warding somewhere around here. Nice pickup onto Lucian. Nothing else is going to happen. And at the same time, if you're going to push the lane up, you have the dragon ward. And then at the same time, you want to drop a ward. What the hell? Alright, so you guys technically just won that lane. Oh, that was close. If you were running Ignite, that would have been easy. You want to drop a ward over this wall into this tri-bush right over here. So you can spot while he's trying to sneak in a little gank as well. This is actually a favorite gank point of a lot of Lee Sins. So you can throw a Q over the wall, you can safeguard to a friendly that's right here. It's just a really good spot for him in general. And Udyr just stole blue buff for free for now. I think he'll be safe. He's got enough cooldown reduction to keep proccing that shield. And nice job going to assist him. So Lucian, will he be able to clean this up? Oh yes, he actually does. If Udyr ran north, he would have been fine. He would have lived if he ran north. But neither of you are Udyr or Graves. Low on mana, but at the same time, it was a good decision to go help him out and then just get out of there. Graves just kind of sat there for too long, knowing that there were 3 enemies there. Let's see how Renekton's doing. Renekton is crushing Garen. So Renekton should be an absolute menace. And later on, his target should 100% be Lucian. Either Lucian or Lux. Lux isn't running Flash. Wow, Lux isn't running Flash. I would have thought Udyr would have lived mid with Lux with no Flash. That should have been called out from the loading screen. As soon as the game loaded, Lux no Flash, live mid. So, getting the first tower, that's really good. Very nice job, Renekton. We are sitting on 1,500 gold, so we'll probably see a Giant's belt and boots. Giant's belt. Boots. Boots. Ooh, nice grab through the creep as the tower goes down. That's pretty good. Blowing the flash out of Lucian. I think we still have barrier. I mean, barrier is pretty good on Leona, but I don't think it's optimal. I think you'd most definitely prefer either Ignite or Exhaust. Barrier does scale very well with Leona's Eclipse, assuming you pop it when that ability is up. It will mitigate a ton of damage because it's essentially free health, and shields do benefit from bonus armor and magic resist. So that's the one redeeming factor I'd say about taking Barrier on Leona. It makes it easier to dive. But you're looking to secure kills, you're looking to get an early experience and gold advantage. And the most important thing is getting the enemy behind. It's not so much about getting you a lead, it's about getting the enemy behind. And wow, this should be an easy cleanup on Lee Sin. Just one more E or something through creep. There we go, that's one. And do we have a red buff? We just pick up a buff, we just picked a red buff, so that should be an easy domination factor onto Garen if he decides to stick around. Alright. So now, let's see. What I'm seeing, the biggest issue is coming down to, number one, not being able to secure kills by having the barrier. Even though we just saved ourselves with the barrier, I think that this lane would have been what the hell is that Udyr doing? He should have kept charging. There we go. That's a free kill. Game sounds are a little too loud, I think. I'm going to turn those down a tad. Alright, so, but this lane, Leona and Entered AD here is looking to just get ahead. A Leona lane that gets ahead will generally win the game before the 25-minute mark if they get a big lead. Because there's really nothing the enemy can do. Leona gets too tanky by simply having an experience advantage. Like if you can get 1 or 2 levels up, there's no need for that barrier. If you can get 1 to 2 levels up, it's almost impossible for an AD carry to kill Leona, especially early game, because the extra 10, 20, 30 armor that she gets, it just makes her an immovable wall. And she also gets quite a bit of health per level, I believe, as well. Renekton somehow went down. Oh, looks like he got jumped on by Lucian and Garen. And yeah, so by taking Ignite, snowballing the lane, denying the enemy carry, it'll either have the jungler live bot or completely ignore bot, which in turn secures a huge lead for your AD carry. And it makes it very predictable to know where the enemy jungler is going to be, because he's either going to be mid or top. He's either going to be mid or top or permanently bot lane. Those are the quote-unquote 2 options. Either removes bot lane as a ganking option, or it makes it his only option. But the thing is, a Leona lane that gets behind is so very tough to get back in the game. So just taking a look at the items right now. Renekton's getting close to a Sunfire, 3-2-0, 81 CS. Garen is a Warden's Mail, Doran's Shield, and Boots, so he's essentially useless as long as he doesn't get farmed. I don't think that they're going to pick up anything here, especially since Lux just missed everything but her Lucent Singularity. Udyr is going for Elder Lizard. I don't agree with that. And that's another free kill. So this is becoming an issue. I mean, Lucian has got a Bloodthirst to complete compared to your Graves, who has a simple BF sword. He should be dead. One more auto attack. Or that Ardent Blaze, is that what it's called? Ardent Blaze. Yeah, level 1 Ardent Blaze too. But anyway, the key factor here is, number one, actually I think your Renekton did really well, Famine Pony. He did really well except for the early play where he ignited Lee Sin. That could have been a huge issue on his part. And then especially with Udyr donating the red buff to Garen under the tower when he simply should have just let Garen back. And the Renekton would have gotten a pretty significant experience lead. Now, I don't know the outcome of this game. This is all first watch through. But yeah, the Renekton is snowballing so heavily. So now what you guys should look to do, especially with Renekton having a full level over anyone, over the highest member, which is Lux without flash, you guys should really be looking to group. There's no need to ping top like this. Pinging up here is stupid. The lane is kind of even. I think it's going to slowly push towards the tower, but the tower should be able to handle those creep with no sweat. I like taking Dragon. That's good, even though it's warded. Udyr should have most certainly used his sweeping lens to clear this out first before anything else happened. Wow, luckily enough Lee Sin missed that Q. Alright, so Lee Sin got the dragon, but it's just a matter of if we're going to be able to pick up kills. We're not. At least not initially. Graves is at pretty much full health and half mana. So how is he going to fare? Lux has no flash. Kill the Lux. Lucian's going to clean up a lot of it though. Eesh, 5, 3, and 2. And Lux is building a Liandry's. So the only source of damage at this point is Lee and Lucian. Lux is useless. But somehow they're still cleaning things up. So this is once again the big key. I'd say it's an error in number 1 not taking Ignite, and number 2 not capitalizing. I wouldn't say capitalizing, but just the decisions that were made before the game happened and at early levels, as Udyr has a permanent light binding animation sound going. Number 1, taking W first, where Q or E could have made a much bigger impact, especially in that early fight where you got hooked. Stop that. Because Leona got pulled from this bush, right over here. One simple Q onto Blitz would have netted a kill, because it would have locked Blitz in place, applied not only the damage from Leona, but Leona's passive, which is a pretty big debuff, and then Graves. Leona Graves is a huge burst combo. So early level, with Graves also at level 2, should have easily been able to clean up that Blitzcrank, and that would have forced Lucian back. Lucian would not have been given the opportunity to clean up that kill. But Graves was focusing Blitz because Blitz was low. It gave Lucian the ability to free cast onto Leona. And with that, gave him a kill, and in turn snowballed that lane. So this has been the key thing. Lucian is pretty much number 1 in gold, I'd say. Udyr is not building tanky. I don't know. Wait, what? He went Stinger. He's going for Zephyr when he could get Tenacity from Ancient Golem and then go Wit's End for attack speed. So Udyr just isn't making much sense at all. So we're just going to ignore him. Orianna is trying to rush damage. That's why she skipped boot. She's rushing a whole bunch of items. Like, is she going? She's going for Athene. She's going for Archangels and either Zhonya's or Death Cap. And even at the moment, looks like a Death Cap first or Archangels. Oh, this is going to be an interesting fight. Don't try to chase the Blitzcrank. You're looking to blow up the damage. Like, you gotta get the gold. Like, take out the guys with the big damage, like Lucian. If you jumped on the Lucian, killed him off, it would have been easy clean up the rest of your team or towers. It would have forced people back. But now Lucian is, even though he's out of mana, is at full health and double buff, so now he doesn't worry about mana anymore. And you're sitting on a ward. This isn't going to be good. So people might be thinking, oh, the focus here is what lost the game. You can almost agree with that, because the focus has been kind of off trying to chase a Blitzcrank into the middle of nowhere where he's useless when you have a Lucian. I think Lucian was sitting right here and everyone just ignored him. But the big thing is going to be the early levels. That first pull is what lost the game, basically. Because Lucian had a Bloodthirster back when Graves simply had a BF Sword and a Doran's Blade. He could just dive. He's literally just diving under towers for free. And he's going to get out. He's going to get out. Maybe not. Shutdown for Udyr. So about time something happens there. Udyr finally got something. But he's still going to be relatively useless, especially with this build. Now Renekton, he's got Sunfire and Merc Stun. I think I would avoid Merc Treads initially, because the only CC you really have to worry about it's either Garen's Silence, the slow from Lee, which isn't really relevant for Renekton more or less, is the binding from Lux. And there's a silence from Blitz, but it's not terribly important. I would prefer to skip the tier 2 boots for a while and get Spirit Visage. Just the coil reduction is so strong. At the same time, it's a huge chunk of magic resist. Allows you to sustain better in fights. Because you can get off 2 to 3 Qs in a fight, you're gonna pick up 300, 400, 500, maybe even 600 health, provided you're not ignited. But now we're at a point where Lucian is just getting way too strong. Ooh, nice hook. And Luck's gonna come in and probably toss out her final spark and clean up. Oh, he gets one. Gets the Udyr that has no defenses. So now this game is just kind of a dance around. I wouldn't be surprised. I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if there was surrender, but I have a timer. I have a timer here. So the game is 29 minutes long. I'm just gonna speed through this though. Leona, I haven't talked much about her items, but generally speaking, a Door and Shield is huge on her, especially early on. Even if you're going up against a burst lane like Blitz Lucian, it's pretty big because Door and Shield does block Lucian's blocks. I think it's 8 damage now for a Door and Shield. Yeah, 8. So it blocks 8 damage from each passive shot from Lucian and from his regular auto attacks as well. Pretty big deal. Huge chunk of health regen. And then from Door and Shield, you go the Targon's route into Face of a Mountain. Face the Mountain with that's a really good active. It's good for your carry, or if you're diving in, it can do a pretty good amount of damage as well. And then skip Merc Treads because you don't really need the tenacity so much on Leona. You want to kind of just go for the health, like a Sightstone. And just sit on a Sightstone. You don't even need Ruby Sightstone. Sightstone, Aegis into a Locket if you prefer. You can get a whole bunch of shield that way between Face of the Mountain and Locket. Or you can go Frozen Heart. I've even seen some Leonas go Sunfire when they're really snowballing because you get a ton of health, and the Sunfire does a significant amount of damage in the middle of a team fight. It's 40 damage per second. 40? 40? Yes. 40 damage per second in the middle of a team fight, and then just combine that with the rest of Leona's utility damage that she provides. She's also pretty tanky. And so the longer she can stay alive, the more control she can bring. But there's all options you can have when you get ahead. That really wasn't the case this game. Oh boy, Leandris. I don't think Leandris gets kills. I don't think it can clean up kills. But Lucian can clean up kills. He sure as shit can. So now they're just at a point in goal, 22 minutes in. Oh, just about 12,000. There's really nothing you can do. There's just, unless they just start diving under towers or donate a Baron. Like he can mess up this Udyr. Udyr has really no armor. Oh, using the Q. So not only just blow up the Udyr, but clean up Leona as well. Yeah, so this is game. Like I'm just gonna keep going, keep fast forwarding. I think I've beat the dead horse enough to kind of break it in that this game came down to the first couple of levels. And Renekton did really well. I think his play was pretty good. Could change his item priorities up a little bit, and when you get ahead as Renekton, maybe look to group a little bit faster. But the big core issue is the bottom lane. I mean, I don't like blaming support generally, but I'd say that the number one factor was Leona. And hopefully I discussed enough how to fix it. Yeah, these fights are just a complete one-sided stomp. They're 3v5ing. I don't know why you guys didn't surrender. I mean, never give up, never surrender. It's a good motto to have, but there's some games when it's just over. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily just blame Leona. I mean, we do have an 11 death Udyr that built Zephyr first after mobility boots, and also gave up kill after kill. I mean, 11 kills, so he gave up 11 deaths, kill after kill after kill. That does make life a little bit more difficult, but there are ways you can carry that, and it's all about if you can make really good decisions early on. You don't have to worry so much about the items you build because you'll just naturally have such a huge lead that you can just go for those big core items and just straight up out-tank and out-damage the enemy. No sweat, even if you do make a couple mistakes here and there. But when you get behind, the decision-making is a lot trickier, and then being behind on items makes life even more difficult. As you can see, now we're getting close to 15,000 gold difference. Lucian 17 kills. So yeah, I'm just gonna run this one to the end. Hopefully I was of some use. Hopefully you heard me. But Yeah, so that I think that about sums it up right there. Go a little bit faster. I wouldn't be surprised if they start maybe edging their way toward Baron. And they just keep chasing Lucian. Lucian, who is maxing. Oh, wait, let's see what Leona. I'm going to pause this for a second. What did Leona max? Yeah, there we go. I like that call. I like that maxing Shield of the Daybreak over Zenith Blade. I mean, there's some people like to go Zenith Blade max because the AoE damage, if you can cut it through a couple people. But the cooldown reduction on Shield of the Daybreak with the Q, the instant on-command stun, I think is way more valuable, especially if you pick up items that have cooldown reduction on them. Clearly we don't have that right now, but if you can get up to 40% cooldown reduction, I think that Q goes down to like 2.5 or 2.7 seconds. Trying to stun every 2.5 seconds, it's a nightmare in the middle of a team fight. But anyway, let's continue. So that should be the push to end the game. So once again, I'm going to just reiterate the point one more time. It was all about that early pull from Blitzcrank. You guys could have won the lane pretty easily. The early pull, the barrier, I think trade that either for Exhaust or Ignite. Preferably Ignite to secure early kills, get experience lead, because that's Leona's strength. Be a lane bully, get a huge experience lead, and then just be so disgustingly tanky just by having levels that there's nothing the enemy can do. So yeah, I'd say very nice job by Renekton for the most part. I think the mid-game focus was a little off. Renekton is kind of carry oriented. He wants to dive onto that carry because the levels give him a huge damage advantage as well. I mean, you guys both pick champions that are heavily emphasized on levels and tanky items / cooldown reduction. And you can carry the game with those champions, no sweat. It's just a matter of getting to a point where you can, making the right decisions where you can. So hopefully that was relevant information. I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to get the video up. Well, you just watched it. I'm going to stop rambling, and just let me know if it was helpful. I could easily do more for you. Just keep sending replays in.